Chapter 17 Christmas Eve in an Attis. This is a short play, a magical play about two mice and the old discarded toys that are paid a visit by Mrs. Santa Claus. Not Mr. Claus, but Mrs. Santa Claus. So, the characters of this play are the first mouse, second mouse, French doll, tin soldier, lion, elephant, tiger, Jack in the box, woolly dog, and Mrs. Santa Claus. So it begins like this. The first mouse. Christmas is here again. The air is full of the smell of good things to eat. The first mouse enters the stage and says, "It's Christmas again and the air is full of good smells, things to eat." It's good things, cakes are cooking, cookies, and a lot of things are cooking, and so its air is smelling lovely, something to eat. The second mouse, along entering with the first mouse, says, "It's a gay time for us. I know there'll be plenty of crumb around now." He says, the second mouse says to the first mouse that it's a very nice, happy time for us because there's going to be plenty of food, bits of crumb and food around for these mice. Again, the first mouse says, "I wish Christmas came every night, but look at these old toys in the corner. I wonder why they look so sad." Now, as he comes, they are saying, they're talking among each other. He says that I wish Christmas could come every night. And then he looks at these old toys that are kept in the attis. Attis is like a storeroom. So because they are old, so they are kept. I wonder why they look so. He's looking at them and saying why they look so sad. The French doll says, "Look sad? Do we? No wonder. It's Christmas Eve. And we don't like to be here in the dark and cold. It isn't fair." The French doll says that we look sad. Obviously, we look sad. It's Christmas Eve and we are in this corner cold place. Is it good? It is right. Is it right? Is it fair? The tin soldier says, "We once hung on the Christmas tree." Probably these were decoratives on the Christmas tree. First mouse said, "It must have been a long time ago." First mouse said, must be a very long time ago. Tin mouse says, "It was indeed. It was really actually. But the children do not care to play with us now that we are so old." Because they've become very old, the children don't want to even play with them. The second mouse, the French doll, says then, "Old, sir? How can you say that?" The French doll doesn't want to accept. She says that we are not old. Just look at me. If my hair were combed and I had a new dress on, I'd still be very nice doll. Old indeed? She says, "Only my hair is not combed properly. If my hair is combed properly and I get a new dress, I'll be as good as new. I won't be old." Then the second mouse says, "Yes, I'm quite sure you would be very pretty." Second mouse agrees to it that definitely you'll be very pretty if you get a new dress and your hair is combed. The tin soldier says, "And I'd be as good as any other tin soldier if I had a new leg." So the tin soldier also says, "I would have been also as good as you if I had a new leg, a little paint, and a fresh gun." First mouse said, "Oh, I believe that, sir." He says, first mouse agrees to it. The lion again proudly says, "Only my mane's gone." The mane of the lion is gone, he tells to the elephant. "But I see you have lost your trunk." The elephant responds, "Yes, someone broke it off. Now, if I had a new trunk, I'd be all right. But look at the tiger. He has cracked his paint and his stripes are all gone. It would be hard to make him look new again." The tiger says, "Do you mean me?" "Oh, a few stripes of new paint, and I'd be as fine a tiger as you ever saw. Listen, Woolly Dog is trying to speak. Now the Woolly Dog says, in a whisper, very softly, my voice is almost gone. Someone punched me too hard once and broke the spring. If I had a new spring, I'd bark louder than ever. We'd never ever hear your squeak then, little mice. So the woolly dog, his spring, someone had punched him, hit him hard, that the spring had gone off, and because of that he had lost his voice, so he could only whisper, and he said that once I get the spring, a new spring, I would bark louder than everyone else, you little mice. Then the Jack in the Box says, I never could get back after my lid came off. A hinge and a few screws, and I'd be as good as new. It's a shame to leave me like this. Jack in the Box, he says that once my lid came out, I couldn't get back into the box, and just one hinge and few screws and on the lid, and I'll be perfect as good as new. It's a shame that I've been left like this, he says. The mice say, hush, someone is coming up the stairs. And someone comes. Who comes in? Mrs. Santa Claus enters. French doll says, who are you? So Mrs. Santa Claus says, I am Mrs. Santa Claus. Every Christmas Eve, I find all the old toys I can. I change them into new ones. Then I send them to the little children who have no other Christmas toys. I knew I'd find some old toys in this atlas. Come here, all of you. Let me see what each one needs. Please, only one at a time. And the toys, they come about Mrs. Santa Claus. Mrs. Santa Claus says that I come every Christmas Eve and collect all the old toys, and I go and mend them and make them new, and then I send them to the children who cannot afford, who are poor, maybe they cannot afford, who don't have many toys. I send them out these toys which have been made new to these children, and then she tells them to line up one by one and she'll mend them. Now, French doll, I'll begin with you. There, I've washed your face and combed your hair. You're as good as new. She now starts with the French doll. She washes her face and combs her hair, and she looks as good as new. First mouse says, she looks fine. She does look fine. Then again Mrs. Santa speaks. Now, Tin Soldier, what can I do for you? Tin Soldier says, give me a new red coat and mend my leg. Oh yes, and I'd like a new gun too. Mrs. Santa Claus then says, here you are, sir. And she mends him like he's become new again. Now, Jack, down in your box while I mend the lid. So she tells Jack, you could go down inside the box till I mend your lid. There, now you can bob up as well as ever. She says, now you can, she mends the lid and she says, now you can jump up and down, bob up, come in and out. The lion, if you please, I want a new mane. A little boy pulled mine off. I haven't had one for a long time. He says, one little boy, he pulled off my mane, and now since then I don't have one. Woolly Dog says, please don't forget me. I can't bark till I get a new spring. He says, I cannot bark. Woolly Dog says, please give me a new spring because I cannot bark. Mrs. Santa Claus says, come elephant. Now she is mending all these people. Okay. Then she calls the elephant. Come elephant and tiger. I'll do you next there. There, I've seen you all. You are all now as good as toys can be. And she quickly makes all these toys new again. French doll says, are we to stay in this old atlas? Tin Soldier, can't we be put on the Christmas tree again? They are asking questions to Mrs. Santa Claus. And Mrs. Santa Claus responds, no, listen to me. You are all to go out into the world tonight. Each one of you must make one little child happy. Go the way you wish, but be sure to find the child that needs you the most. I must hurry to another old address over the way. Good night, toys. And she goes away, and the toys also go away. She says, Mrs. Santa Claus, she instructs the old toys that all of you have to go out now and to any child who needs you the most, who they can make happy. So that's their work, that's their job on Christmas Eve, to make everyone happy. And Mrs. Santa Claus goes and she says, I have to go to another address too for the other toys. And the toys also go away, and Mrs. Santa also goes away. First mouse. Will each toy try to make some child glad on Christmas morning? Second mouse says, I hope so. How happy they all looked as they went out. The two mice are discussing among each other that I hope that all these toys are able to make some child happy on Christmas morning. So that's the message of Christmas, to give happiness, spread happiness.